Joined by Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. And, Coach, I'll start with the easy question. You're the defending national champions. Does this year feel different entering media day and entering fall camp?
Well, I did a podcast with Coach Krzyzewski, and he said, you're not defending champs because nobody can take it from you. So we're trying to repeat. That's it. It's all about moving forward. And our guys jumped on that really the week after the game last year. And we've had a good offseason, and we've really had to start the preparation for this first game. I think we're 39 days out for Texas, and we had a good July, and now we got to have a great August.
When you look at the offseason here, talked to a couple of the guys throughout the summer. They said that this is the hardest Mick has ever worked them. That intensity, do you up it because you're trying to rebuild that foundation?
Yeah, that's a big part of what we need to do this offseason. We're reading a book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, because we need to get back to that. I think when you win a championship and go on a run like that, the easy thing is let's just get back to that point, and you have to rebuild all the way from the jump. You have to chop the wood and carry the water every day, and we've had to grow up. Everybody who's in that locker room has had to take on a new role and have to grow up in certain areas, and so I think Mick's done a great job of that this offseason. But now we got to go put on the field in August. We got to have a great August, and yeah, starting off with a game like that certainly has everybody's attention.
I'm sure I can name a few guys, but the biggest leaders that you've seen kind of take over this offseason, who have they been, and what's it been like to see that new level of guys?
Well, the three guys we have here today have been tremendous. Jeremiah really, it's like, when we do sprints, Mick says he wins every one. Like, he just sets a certain standard of work ethic and discipline. Caleb has really taken the next step as a leader. He's getting more of a voice, the way he works and his discipline. And then Sonny has become a tremendous leader, speaks up, challenges guys. But he's not the only one. I mean, we have a bunch of other guys that I feel like could, become captains. So we'll see once the voting comes out here in a few weeks.
You've dealt with a fair share of kind of superstars across college football the last few years. What's it like to see Jeremiah so young? I mean, you've got 2 more years with him, and you're still shaping every day what he hopes to one day be in the NFL.
Well, he's very unique, and I've said this before. When you have so much talent, typically you're not as disciplined, as skilled as he is. He's extremely disciplined, came in that way, and also skilled, but he's taken that to the next level. I mean, when you see him today, you're going to see he's gotten bigger and stronger and faster, if you can believe that. We were checking in here to the hotels, and I was with the guys, and we went to the front desk and checked them in, and the lady behind the desk said, is there someone here who's over 21 that can check these guys in, because they're both 2020 and Jeremiah's 19. And it just makes you realize how young and talented they are. But great young men. We went out to dinner with a few donors last night and just got so much feedback about just how impressed they were as young men, and that's a big part of this as well, is the type of guys that we have and the standard that we hold them to.
Talk about the type of guys. You've got 2 guys in the quarterback room. One of them is going to have to take the field against Texas. I'll ask because I have to ask the question, do you have a starting quarterback?
Right. We're right where we were to end spring, and we got to get on the field. But I feel like both the guys have done some really good things this offseason, physically, as leaders. They're both throwing the ball well. But, you don't know until you get on the field. So I'm excited to see them compete.
This may sound like a silly question, but is it more off-the-field stuff at this point with those guys? I mean, you know how well they can throw. Obviously, they're developing reading defenses. But are you watching for that bigger step off the field to kind of decide who is the guy for Texas?
I think it's all the above. But ultimately, you got to move the ball. You got to win. And what comes with that? Well, with a quarterback, you got to make routine plays routinely. You've heard me say that before. You got to do a good job on 3rd down. You got to do a good job in a red zone. You got to do a job in 2 minutes. And when it's 4th and 2 against Texas in the Cotton Bowl, you got to find a way to get that first down. And that's what being a quarterback and winning is. And then when you make mistakes, you got to learn from them quickly and continue to grow, because you're going to go through adversity. All quarterbacks do.
When you look at this defense, Matt Patricia, how much of this is new for the defense scheme-wise, now that you've had a chance to look back at it, now that they've had an offseason to process it here? How much is this going to look like the defense, because it is Ohio State's defense of last year, but also Matt Patricia's touch?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, we continued what we've been doing in the past, and we want to make sure it's still the same Ohio State defense. Matt will have a few things to change up along the way. He's got great background on what he's done, but, we want to make sure we're carrying over the majority of what we did last year.
I like the question of what keeps you up at night now that you're 39 days away. I'm sure there's a lot, but is there one area that you're most focused on as you head into fall camp?
I just want to get going and have a really physical camp and stay healthy and play really fast and violent in that first game.
I like it. And then for you personally, you're now a national championship coach. Have you ever felt that difference this offseason? Is there ever a moment where you kind of took things a little differently, that, hey, the mindset, the process I can prove has paid off, and now I can take that next step?
I think when you win a national championship, you just have a certain level of credibility and belief in your program, your players, your coaches more than ever. Not that they ever never did before, your fan base. And I think that matters, and making sure that, we work really, really hard. And, we've been really, really close, but to go over the top certainly does. But that has nothing to do with this year. So we gotta go right back from the jump and have a great opening game.
How tough is that mentally to not think about January? I mean, obviously that's what the fans are going to talk about. That's what college football is going to talk about. But for you guys, I mean, you got a game on August 30th here. That's a massive game. How do you actually keep these guys who are in college focused on just the task at hand?
When you have a game like we do against Texas, that certainly helps. But that's why you hear coaches just cliche talk all the time. We got to focus on today. We got to take it one day at a time because we know if you don't, what's going to happen? You're going to get beat. So, being in the present, focusing on the process is the key. And, again, it sounds like coach talk, but it's because it's real.
Did you have any fun this summer? Did you get away from football at all?
Yeah, we got away a little bit and had some vacation and had some fun. But, yeah, it seems like the summers go by faster and faster every year as we get older. So it was fun, but it went by fast.
All right, last question. There's a lot of talk about change in college football. Got to ask you about this new world of NIL and how you've handled it. Ross Bjork talked about you guys sitting down and kind of having to almost break it down like an NFL salary cap, which you have experience with. How has that played out for you over the past few weeks?
Yeah, we've been working hard to figure out exactly how the new structure is going to be. I think we need to give it a little time to roll out and see what exactly is going to be enforced and what isn't, especially with the third-party element of it. And I think that's what we're all trying to figure out right now. So kind of like we did before, we're going to figure out kind of how the landscape shakes and then make sure we're aggressive.